All right, welcome back everyone. Thank you Internet for joining us after that quick break. We're going to be continuing on some of that amazing scene that you saw, all the tech, all the cyberpunk, all the futuristic. Now you're getting a little bit more from Gryun Kim. Yeah, there it is.
Thank you so much. Thank you for kindly explanation. Okay, hello. I'm Gryun Kim, a motion graphic designer based in LA, and it's such a privilege to be here among these amazing artists. In part one, the Woo-sung already presented. I think the monitor is not streaming right now, so seems there is something struggle right now. So could you hold on a second? Okay, I'm just continues to talk about it. So in part one, the Woo-sung already present the production process of our sci-fi short film. Why? The name is the short film is WAI. So I pronounce it just Y. So now, following the presentation, I will take over and present part two. And this is a collaboration project with Woo-sung, Taeun, and myself. And Taeun couldn't join for this time, but shout out to Taeun. And we will show amazing his contribution for this project today. So in part one, Woo-sung already discussed the production process and cinematic camera animation and tips on the compositing and color. So now in part two, I will talk about creating the realistic effects without any simulation and connecting numerous cables with Xpresso. So before we dive into WAI, let's show my short reel first. Thank you. And WAI became our first team project, all of us three together. So WAI 000 is a sci-fi short film that captures the experimental moments of AI robot to find its identity from the past. So all right, let's watch the short film first. Thank you so much. So also, WAI project has been developed in VR version. The immersive VR version has been created with the highest quality viewable on the device like the Vision Pro and Quest. So it will transport you right into the WAI world. And thanks to the auto huge support with the render network, which is their cloud render farm system. So we won't be able to complete it for this event without it. So we are extremely thankful for their support. So after the presentation, there will be the demo station, and where you can see and you can experience the immersive version of the WAI. The also online version will release soon. So please stay tuned. So let's dive into how I created the laboratory scene of WAI using Cinema 4D and After Effects. In realistic effects without simulation parts, we look at two examples. So first scene features a syringe, demonstrating how we simulated the natural bubble rising without complex simulation techniques. So second scene is a slime mold. I will show how I create naturally growing fungus. So I'm so excited to share how we achieve this effect easily and effectively. So first, let's start with the syringe scene. So I will explain step by step, breaking it down into the 5 steps. On the right side, we can see the bubble rise in slow motion. The scene we are looking at now is the first scene. If you look closely, you can see that when the motion holding syringe bounces, it creates an impact and causing the larger bubbles to rise. This kind of detail gives the scene something special and making it more interesting. So next, I will explain how I find the references. I usually look for the references on the Shutterstock. You can switch the menu to video and search for what you need. So once you find the reference you like, you can see the similar related reference on the right side. So these are the references I found I like the most. The source on the left shows the larger bubble forming, followed by the small bubble rising. So I use this as a base source, mainly for the smaller bubble rising. The references in the middle has slightly larger particles, creating the various of the bubble size. I thought it's gonna be really cool if I mix with the first one. So and the source on the right, which featured the largest bubbles having a big movement, was used for the moments of the impact when the motion holding syringe bounces. Now let's move to the Cinema 4D and to show how to unwrap UV of the syringe. Okay. So here is a scene file. It's really simple. So first, I want to see the 2 different viewports. This viewport stands for the camera viewer, but just click the panel and new panel, we can get new panel, and the drag and drop on the right side. So this is a freely navigate viewport. So first, we need to find some cutting edge. So I'm going to use loop selection. Go to select and click the loop selection. And click this bottom area, bottom of the edge, and also top of the edge. Now we also need to cut this side section. So I change the move tool and try to select the side of the edge on the camera viewer. So now we can see this is the edge, or we can this. So by holding Ctrl and Shift key and click the last edge, so it automatically draw all the line between. So it's time to store this selection to use unwrap UV. So go to the select and click the store selection. Now we can get the selection tag. So let's go to the UV edit. So it's okay. And this is a UV editor on the left side. So Cinema 4D has a really good feature just by click UV unwrap. So it automatically unwrap the UV. So simple with this selection. So in order to make the polygon more evenly, go to UV packing and check the rasterized and hit the apply button, it generates this kind of really even polygon-sized text, the UV. So now we want to draw some line on this. So let's go to the menu and click the paint. And there's a really cool feature, paint setup wizard, which is automatically find the object you want to draw. And you have to make sure the object is checked. I go to next. And you have to make sure uncheck this recalculate the UV, because we already unwrapped the UV. So we are going to use this UV. So you can also set up really basic material. So you can change the background color a little bit darker. Also change the resolution a little bit, increase it. So twice, and the finish. So and close. So now you can notice the mouse point is changed to brush. So if you draw on this UV editor, you can also see on this 3D viewport also. So like this. So let's go to the paint layout. So you can see more bigger size of the viewport. So I like to draw this kind of direction of the bubble should be, something like this. And I can also like to draw what is the smallest bubble size. Also, what is the biggest bubble size should be. So I like to draw some starting point like this. This is gonna be edge of the camera viewer. So I just simply draw this kind of simple drawing and bring it to After Effects. So let's move to the After Effects now. So now we are back in After Effects. We will import the texture drawn in Cinema 4D and also import the downloaded source from the Shutterstock. So due to this drawing from the Cinema 4D 3D paints, we can easily determine the direction and size of the bubbles, the moving in the Cinema After Effects. So to add the extra bubble that will appeal upon the impact, we need to check in Cinema 4D exact frame number and when the bounce occur. So I think it's around 6 to 7 frame. So based on the frame we checked in Cinema 4D, we add extra bubble source in the After Effects to give bigger and bubbles rise when the bounce happens. So, and this is the result I created, and you can notice that there are mostly small bubbles rising, but around the 7th frame, you will see the larger bubbles. So let's move to the Cinema 4D and bring this bubble source. Okay. And in this scene, I'm just talking about how to apply this bubble in Octane render. So I'm going to open Live Viewer and make it smaller window. Okay, hit the Live View for rendering. So this is a really simple scene, and we are going to create the bubble material. So create extension Octane and create the material. So I just named it. It's gonna be liquid, and apply this material on this object. And we also need to change the material type from diffuse to specular, so we can passing through it. So go to the transmission tab in order to change the color. I like to make it a little bit greenish color. Yeah, like this. So we can absolutely import our image on this the material. So I just drag bump map and image texture and find the texture, the bubble. So in order to animate this image sequence, you have to make sure to go to the animation tab and check the calculation. It automatically imports sequences. And you also have to change and match the frame rate on the project file. So then if I move the timeline, you can see bubble is moving. But this has a lot of limitation. We can control the individual material, the bubble and the outside of the liquid. So rather than that, I like to add another material and named it bubble. And I also like to change the color to white. It's gonna be, air. And also, I'm going to create mix material and named it mix. I'm going to drag 2 different material here and apply this material on this the syringe object. So there's a slider. If I go to 0, if it is black, and it's gonna be choose the bottom material. If I go to the change gauge to 1, it's gonna be bubble. So rather than changing this amount slider, we can put some image here. So here is the node base, and you can drag an amount and drop it, and choose the the image texture, and find the bubble image sequence. You also have to make sure to click the animation calculation and match the frame rate. It's the same process, but it is changed, but it's hard to notify. So I also gonna connect this image sequence into the bump map on these two material. So compared to just generate one material, we have some freedom. So click the wiki, and we can change a little bit information. I can increase the bump map, so make it feel more notified. So like this, we can see. We can also change the index of this bubble only. So this is the trick I did for the bubble material. So now let's move to the Cinema again. So now the second scene, I will show you how to create the realistic slime mold simulation using only retouched source. So without any simulation. I got tons of questions how to make it, and many people guess you might use Houdini or X particle or really hard technique, but I didn't actually. So before I jump into the how to make it, I'm going to show the process I did. So to create this scene, I initially made it yellow, just like real slime mold. But I was satisfied with the realistic simulation, but I felt I want to make color more interesting. Then I had a lot of tasks to show the slime mold growing at the moment the water drop falls. After successfully creating the water drop interaction, I spent some time changing the color of the slime mold again. In nature, we don't see as many colors as in artificial objects. So I thought mixing rainbow colors into the nature fungus could make it look like it's poisonous and dangerous. So I also want to emphasize the moment when the water drop falls. So I add effect where the surface of the slime mold rise and then spreading out when the water drop falls. To create this scene, I searched for the various slime mold sources and retouched them in After Effects to convert it into the color grayscale video source. And I use this grayscale source in many ways. Basically, I use this source as an intensity value of displacement map in Cinema 4D. Additionally, by using this video in the mixed material, I apply the slime mold material to the white area, and I emulse material to the black area. So when I search slime mold references, I try to find the best slime mold references, as many as possible. I watch the TED Talks and documentary video to understand the properties of the slime mold and analyze the pattern by watching the various videos. So when I found the source for use, I found the source where the background and slime mold well separated. This was because I intend to use only yellow slime mold part, creating slime mold mask simply just by adjusting the brightness. Now let's move to the Cinema 4D to create the effect of the interaction on the surface when water drop falls. So let's go to the Cinema 4D. Close the window. And I already built a really simple scene file, and you can see the sphere object dropping, and there's a surface, and I named the drop. So this has a Y position keyframe, and it's gonna be disappeared at 11 frame by checking enable key. So this is the floor object. This is gonna be surface we want to distort. So I'm going to reuse this drop object and then named it collision. So this is gonna be the reference object for distort deformer, and I'm going to delete this keyframe and also Y position keyframe. So this object gonna be appear from at 11 frame. That's disappear the water drop object. So add a keyframe and previous keyframe, I'm going to disable it. So from 0 to 10 frame, we can only see this draw object. After the 11 frame, we can see this reference object. So it's time to distort this floor geometry. So click the floor object, and we are going to add collision deformer. So by pressing Shift key and click it, it automatically child. And let's go to Collider tab. You can drag what any just modify here. So make it distort. So drag this collision object. You can see there's a huge distortion. So let's go to Advanced tab. You can change the value here. But even you change it, it is not updated real time. So after you change the timeline, it's updated because it requires some calculation. So in order to get a real-time calculation, I prefer to add point cache. And point cache below the collision, so it automatically calculates every single frame. So now we can see the interaction. So it's time to animate this collision reference object. Go to Coordinates tab and add the keyframe on the 11 frame and go to the 30 frame wherever and scale it up at a keyframe. So we can see the spreading. We also want to disappear when it's growing. So add a keyframe on the Y position and slightly push it down. So make it feel absorbing like this. So we can also any of deformer here. So I like to add some smoothing effect. So drag here. So you can see the surface is smoothing out when you add this kind of deformer. So it makes you feel more natural. So you can also add, a jiggling effect. I love jiggling. It looks like this alive. So adding this animation, you can play, just checking the deformer. You can change the value here with whatever you want. So you can see jiggling effect here, something like this. So now move back to the After Effects and talking about the other parts. Now back in After Effects, I will explain how to retouch the video source I found. So when I import the video source in After Effects, there were many unnecessary parts. So I had to crop them out in After Effects. So by drawing the interest area and then clicking on the crop comp to region of interest in the composition menu. So I could easily use only the part I want to use. Next, I use the mask to remove unnecessary part other than the slime mold. After the masking, so by adjusting the brightness with the level effects to get rid of the background, and I see only the slime mold parts. Finally, apply the tint effect. We'll turn it to image into grayscale. So by adjusting all the footage into the grayscale and stacking them into the composition, when you see the screen blend modes, the white area of the layers can become overly brighter, so where they overlapped. So to avoid this, I can switch to the lighten blending mode. This way, even when your multiple layers are stacked, the white area won't get extremely bright, maintaining the desired effect without the overexposure. So now I naturally arranged each piece of the footage so that it looked like the one connected slime mold. Just like we add a deformer effect in C4D to simulate the interaction with the geometry at the moment water drop falls. So in After Effects, I did something similar by adding extra footage at the moment impact of the impact to enhance the effects. To enhance the effect of growing from the center outward, I use the mask feature to gradually revealing the footage from the center toward the edge. So adding the animation to create this spreading effect. What we are seeing now is the result of the blending together to the various pieces of the footage. So using same method, I connected the other source to create the multiple groups. And this is the source group 1. And this is source group 2. And all these groups were combined to complete the final composition. The final group turns out to be highly detailed grayscale animation footage. However, if we use this source directly as a displacement map in C4D to create the material, the surface ended up being rough and bumpy than we expected. To solve this issue, I tested various blur effects, and I found that the Maxon Red Giant's universe compound blur effect delivered excellent results. The universe compound blur effects can maintain the edge of the footage while blurring inside parts, so preserving the sharpness of the edge while smoothing inside. So comparing the result when the blur is off the surface appeared quite rough, but when blur is on, it became smoothly processed. And I also wanted to remove the flickering. It is because the footage was captured using time lapse, so it leads to flickering effects. So in order to tackle this, we use a deflicker effect. To apply deflickers, there are many solutions. In After Effects, you can use revisions, deflicker, or NVIDIA's reduce noise feature. But I choose to use a deflicker effect in DaVinci Resolve. In DaVinci Resolve, you can search for the deflicker effect and easily find the deflicker area and remove it. So comparing the result to looking at the before on the left, you can see a lot of flickering. But on the right, after using the deflicker effect, the result much smoother. So now I will take this source and we will create it into C4D and apply displacer, deformer it, and also show you how I made the material. So in this geometry, we just add displace deformer. So use that texture sequence, and you can simply just import the image sequence we created. Let's go down, and there's slime more texture, import, click it, and go to animation tab and calculate button, so you can make it animated. This huge value, we need to change it. Let's go and object and change the height, 0.2. So now we can see the smoothing effect, like this. And it's time to apply new material. So I'm going to talk about how I created, and rather than just from scratch. So I'm going to open library, click it. Also, I'm going to open material I already created, and open the node editor. No, this one. So basically, I create the two different material and use the mixed material. So first, the black area should be the most material. This is just PBR material. I just plug an image and connect the normal map. That's all I did. And there's another fungus material. This is gonna be this fungus area. So I used this image sequence. This is the image sequence I created and connected to the amount value. I also add between the octane gradient to boost the white area, so we can see more the fungus area. We can also connect this image sequence into displacement map, so make it distort and push it up. And I also use octane gradient node and change the grayscale color into colorful, rainbow color here. So this area should be black area. It turns to green. This is gonna be white area. This turns to, the blue. And between there is a color. That's why it looks like this. So I connect this rainbow color into transmission and scatter. So make it feel like this fungus. This is a really simple material setup. Okay. So now, on to the final scene to connect numerous cables with the Xpresso. I will explain how to connect many cables to the device and plug all at once using Xpresso. So before we dive into the Xpresso, I would like to show the procedural asset I created for the laboratory scene. The scene has many complex machines that need various cables. And I used a newly introduced node feature in C4D to develop the procedural modeling. This made it easy to create the various wires by just drawing the simple guide spline. I can switch the design, and I can also change the number of the detailed patches. I also used the node features to create the procedural modeling for the craft drawer. So this allows me to freely change the number of the drawers and their size and their position of the handles and papers. For the laboratory wall, I also used the nodes for the pipe modeling, which allow me to adjust the number of the placement of the connecting parts and design of the connection to the wall, and even the length and the design of the pipes. However, today, I especially want to share about the Xpresso. Xpresso in C4D allow you to use the node connections like the scripting. I particularly use Xpresso to handle repetitive tasks all at once. So by using the new rope simulation and Xpresso in C4D, I can connect numerous cables all at once, just like this. If you look it closer, so you can see the cable from the various computer device connected to the power strip and various wires twisted together. So numerous wire has been used in many of my other works as well. So especially in the scaffolding scene with the many wires for the Off Barcelona 2018 main title directed by Hee-Bong Lee and Jake Ferguson. In my personal project Asymmetry main title, the wires scattered around the tree and the floor and also hanging on the trees. These kind of wires can make the scene more interesting. Now let's move to the C4D and start explaining Xpresso. I know Xpresso is really hard to explain in a day, but I just want to show the performance, and you might just remember it, and you can study more. But I just want to see how it works and the whole pipeline. So there are a lot of splines. Also, there are a lot of the blue machines and red power strip. And blue machine has its individual null object on the starting point, and the red power strip also has a red null object here. So our mission is connect all the splines into the blue, starting from blue, endpoint gonna be the red null. So let's see here. Here is the spline and your move tool. I also like to introduce the point index number. So spline has a point index number. When you change the move tool and click the first point, double click it, it pops up really little window, and it named the point 0, which is the name of the first points. And if you click the end point, its name is called point 1. So you have to remember the points index number. So now we are going to add Xpresso. So I like to add Xpresso tag on null object to easy to find, and go to the programming tag, open the Xpresso. It pops up new window. It's gonna be Xpresso window, and we are going to put the object we want to use in Xpresso, and drag this first segment object here, and scale a little bit up. And we want to change the position data from here. So we need to find the point node here. Go to Xpool and find point node here. This point node requires the object, which object you want to change, which object you want to use the point value. So you have to connect this object into this segment object. You drag this object into red section and find object. So it means we are going to use this segment point right now. So when you click the points node, you can see there is an index number. Default value is 0. You remember it's the first starting point of the points. If we want to change the position of the points, click the blue section and open point position. So now we can see one more parameter. It's a 0, 0, 0, x, y, z. So if you change this value, now on the viewport, the starting point is moving on rely on this position value. So rather than change this value individually here, we want to connect this first null object of blue icon. So I already named it as plug. And this is the first point. It should be the starting point of this spline. I drag this object here, and we want to import this. We want to use this information of the position value. Let's go to coordinate, global position, and hit the global position. This node is really small, so right-click and optimize, or you can press the control-click and double-click, it automatically optimizes. So now it's time to connect this point position into this point position. Sorry, this global position into the point position. So connect this. So the starting point is connected to this null object. We also change this endpoint. So copy this point node below. And now we have to use the point index 1. So change the number 1. We also need to connect the object, which object we want to use the points value. Connect this. So now if we change it, the endpoint is moving here, right? So rather than change the value, we are going to use this null object's point value here. So drag and drop here and click the red and coordinate global position, hit the global position, control double click, optimize it, and drag this one into the point position. So now we are connected here. So we have to repeat this process for the 16 times. Rather than that, so that's why we use Xpresso. We can use it linked list and iteration combination. So first, I'm going to show you what is the linked list. And drag it here. Linked list is the node for contains objects here. So you have to drag and drop this other spline, and drop it into this linked list. So it's like container. So there's also a parameter called index 0, which means in these objects, we want to use the first one. 0 means the first one. If we increase it, we want to use second one, something like this. So we also need another linked list for the plug-in and plug-out. I'm going to put all the null object here and drag. This is gonna be plug out and plug this into this. And the linked list requires some reference object. So we already create the object. We just connect the object. This is gonna be plug-in object. So this is gonna be plug-out object. So click all the linked list. If we increase the index, it will going to select the first one, the second one. Also select the second one of the object, second one of the plug-out object. So select everything. If we increase the index parameter, so the second spline jump to this. So increase one more time, it's automatically done. So rather than increase the number individually, we already know how many objects we have. So using the iteration, we don't need to do it individually. So you can set the starting point. We have 16. So I just type the 15 because it's just starting from 0. So connect this value into index here and here and here. So it's all connected right now. So it's now time to add a rope simulation here. So select all the segments, right click and go to simulation tag, add the rope simulation. Let's see play button. It's jumping around because we have to fix the starting and end point. So click all the segment and point mode, select Control A, all select. And also you go to the loop tag and go to the fix and hit the set button. So it automatically fix the points. So it is fixed. We can increase the amount of the segments, click every segments, and increase the number of the segments like this. and hit the play button again. So it's really naturally rope simulation. We can also change the length of the spline. So select all the rope simulation. Oops. Okay. All the rope simulation tag, and add the keyframe on target length, and go a few frames, and change the length to 200%. So after it's simulated, and I just already animate this pushing this object in order to avoid the intersection, and it started to increase the length of. So you can change any value here right now, so make it feel more natural. And this is the T4, the Xpresso, to generate cables. So the full version of the making of the WAI is available on Colosso with 106 lessons. If you're curious about how to make the other scenes, or would you like to practice with the example, I highly recommend to our Colosso course. So our version of the WAI is called WAI 000, and there is also the Y001 version, which students made as part of their first challenge. This is first city scene made by our student, and they made their own style of the city scene. And these pieces you are seeing now are laboratory scenes created by the student. They did really great job with their own style of the design. So by selecting these excellent work, and we collaborate with our original version and student's version. This is Y001 version with the student. Thank you. Thank you. So if you have any question, feel free to DM us. And for those of you here after the presentation, you can experience the VR version of the demo, as I mentioned at the beginning. So go to the demo station, and I'm going to show the VR version of the WAI if you are interested. Thank you so much, and yeah, take care.
All right, another amazing presentation with these guys. So we do have time for a couple questions. If you have them live and you're not shy, now's the time to do that. If you are shy, they will be in the back, so you can experience that VR immersive experience, as well as ask those questions. Questions? Either minds are blown or shy. All right, that's great. So Internet, stay tuned. We're going to be back here. Our next presenter is going to be up in the next about 12 minutes. You're going to have Erica Anderson. So you've probably seen amazing looping GIFs somewhere on the Internet. They might have been hers. So you're going to want to hang out and check it out. So we'll see you here in the next 12 minutes.